Hey, heads up, if you're retired or about to retire or you want to retire someday, then you'll want to pay close attention. Because let's face the facts. Look at the economy right now. Things don't look so good. So in today's uncertain economic climate, there's a reason people are searching for ways to protect their wealth, and thanks to an IRS loophole pushed through Congress in 1997, now it's easier than ever. But it makes sense why people are desperate to protect their savings. 2008 really wasn't that long ago. So with the lingering memories of the financial crisis still on our minds, folks today are better prepared to survive the next downturn. But that's the question. Are they really prepared? Let's take a look. Okay, so market conditions in the last year were not great, to be obvious. In fact, right now, if you take a look at your 401k, IRA, or what have you, you're probably not happy with what you're seeing. Not a good year, I'll bet. But what if this year gets worse? Or what if this nightmare scenario stretches into next year or the next decade? Can you afford that? Oh, I know I couldn't. So let me show you what thousands of Americans are doing about it. Because if you wanted a way to protect your retirement savings, well, you have to consider one reality. Is your money tied up in a retirement savings account? Because if so, let me connect some dots for you. First, we're looking at two situations, inflation and an uncertain stock market, because it is possible that no matter what your retirement account is invested in, whether it's stocks, ETFs, bonds, or mutual funds, each one of those is likely connected to each other and the stock market. So if you think all your eggs are in different baskets, but all the baskets are on the same sinking ship, then how diversified are you really? You with me? Because listen to what I'm about to say. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have some fancy broker's license like those Wall Street bankers had in the 2008 crash, but I do have common sense. And I realize that if my retirement accounts were diversified into different asset classes, but they were all connected to each other somehow, then that would concern me. That would really concern me, especially if we're looking at the next financial crisis. But that leads us into the obvious choice, right? Take all the money out of the stock market and let it sit in my retirement accounts as cash, right? Wrong. Because if you let your money sit as cash, then it can still lose money to inflation. It's a catch-22. So you're out of options, right? Actually, there's a third option, because if you want to be truly diversified away from the stock market and you want to help protect against inflation while protecting the value of your savings, then it makes sense to look at precious metals, specifically gold and silver. Because consider this, almost all the gold ever mined in human history still exists today above ground. That's not something you can say about many other assets. Gold's stability has established its reputation as a reliable store of value. Its ability to withstand inflation, financial crises, and economic turmoil while preserving its value has made it an enduringly popular investment choice. So we get it. Gold is great. But I'm not talking about gold ETFs or mining stocks. I'm talking about real, heavy in your hand, physical gold. So how can you get physical gold in your retirement accounts? Let me show you a little secret. In 1997, Congress enacted the Taxpayer Relief Act, which included a special kind of IRS loophole that gives you the ability to hold physical precious metals in an IRA account. This means you finally have the freedom to diversify your retirement the way you want it to be with physical gold and silver that you can own in something called a Gold IRA. And I'll tell you more about that in a second, because something to keep in mind. With a gold IRA, you can't just own any kind of precious metals. You can't own collectibles like commemorative coins, numismatic coins, or artistic gold. It absolutely has to meet the IRS standards for what is eligible, which means coins or bullion meeting specific fineness requirements, 99.5% pure gold, among some other important factors, but that's nothing to be too concerned about because that's why Goldco partners with mints worldwide to bring you these IRA-eligible gold coins, which is great news. And so is this next part, because it can actually be easy to start a gold IRA without starting over. Let me explain. When starting an IRA, we all remember seeing all the paperwork, reading the rules about contribution limits, required distributions at certain ages, and so forth. But how can we start a gold IRA without starting from scratch? Well, good news for you here as well, because you don't have to start over at all. In fact, a popular way to fund a gold IRA is through a rollover, by rolling over funds from an IRA, 401k, 403b, TSP, or similar retirement account. You can sidestep the annual IRA contribution limits. This means you can skip ahead of the line and get to protecting your savings sooner rather than later. Plus, it's tax-free, which makes everyone happy. And it can be done in 3 simple steps. First, you'll need to establish a gold IRA, which you can do by partnering with a trusted company like Goldco. Then, in step 2, we'll work together to initiate a rollover process of the amount that you choose, but keep in mind that some plan administrators and custodians are more cooperative than others, since custodians want to retain their assets under management. Because after all, the more assets they manage, the more fees they receive. So don't be surprised if you encounter some resistance. But once your new gold IRA custodian receives the funds, your gold IRA will be funded. Then you'll be ready for step 3, which means it's time to start purchasing your gold, and this is where things get good. But remember, any gold coins or bars that you purchase must meet minimum specific fineness requirements, 99.5% pure gold, which again is why Goldco partners with mints worldwide to provide you with IRA-eligible gold coins. Plus, this guarantees that the gold you buy is 100% authentic and ensures faster delivery of your gold. And once that's done, you wait for the gold to be delivered to a depository, which is like your own personal Fort Knox with its own armed guards. And then, now you're protected. But now there's one last question to ask. Why protect yourself at all? Simple. Remember 2008? Millions watched as markets lost over 50% of their value. And then they waited for the recovery that didn't happen until 2016. So imagine if that happened today. It could be world-ending for many people. Because if they happen to be within 5 to 10 years of retiring or already in retirement, then it could be a life-crushing loss. The closer you reach retirement age, the less time you have to recover investment losses. Which is why many think about investing in gold and precious metals as they get older. They know gold has a reputation for being stable, maintains its purchasing power over decades, and has been considered a safe haven for centuries, which is why thousands of Americans trust their savings to precious metals to protect themselves as we're facing a possible recession. But if you're wondering if a gold IRA is right for you, then the answer is, well, that's up to you. But at the very least, it would make sense to educate yourself so you'll know what your options are. Because there's a reason that for many Americans, the path to financial security lies with precious metals. Thousands have made the decision to protect their assets with precious metals. They made the decision to take back control over their future and protect themselves by setting up a gold IRA immediately. After all, the threat of recession can be terrifying, but the loss in a recession will be worse. Americans sat there helpless as the money they spent a lifetime earning just dissolved in the 2008 financial crisis, and kicked themselves as they watched gold and silver rocket higher as their retirement accounts were taking a dive. Remember, it's your responsibility and your duty to protect yourself, your family, and your wealth from another financial disaster. So click the link in the description below and get your free copy of the Wealth Protection Kit. This could possibly be the one thing that protects your hard-earned savings from another financial disaster. Click the link below.